What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tim Warren Show. It is Monday, August 11th, and yes, we are live today covering everything that happened over the weekend in the cryptocurrency space. In case you have been hiding under a rock, which technically I kind of have been this weekend with the birth of my second child now, but I pop my head out from time to time to check the charts and check the news. It was a fantastic weekend if you are a crypto holder, and there's probably no coin that benefited more from this weekend than Chainlink. That will be one of the sections we talk about today. Chainlink, will it be the leader in the upcoming altcoin season? Also, there was a massive rally, but you know what happens when massive rallies happen in Bitcoin? We create what's called gaps. CME gaps are things that make a lot of traders nervous. Will there be a big pullback before the next rally, or can the gaps be avoided? Stick around all the way throughout the show. We're going to cover those details and a whole lot more. You don't want to go anywhere. Smash that like button if you are ready. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It is time to bring on my co-host for the show. Without Smay today, it's me and Shrum kind of going back and forth. We found a feature through StreamYard. We both can kind of click on what buttons happen. So a co-production, sharing Smay's job today. I got my buddy Shrum over here in Virginia. How are we doing today, my friend? How are you doing from this weekend?
Oh, well, I'm better than I deserve. Got to go to a nice barbecue restaurant and have the most delicious pumpkin pie. And I will say that the barbecue up in Virginia is actually as good as many of the states in the South make their barbecue. Let me know, what state has the best barbecue, and what is your favorite meat? What's your favorite barbecue protein?
Now, you don't think it's a little early in the time of year to start cracking up in the pumpkin pie? That usually waits for the fall.
Well, it was pecan pie. Did I say pumpkin?
Oh,
pie?
you said pumpkin. You said pumpkin. Okay, pecan pie. That works. That works.
Yeah, no, it would be too early. It would be very, very bad of me to have had pumpkin pie, and I didn't. I had pecan pie.
Yeah.
I want to erase that from the record. It was pecan pie.
And then the question becomes, is it pecan pie or is it pecan pie? That's for the chat to decide. But I'm very glad that you had a great pie this weekend, had some good barbecue. Listen, man, Virginia, greatest state on earth. You're never going to hear me argue with that statement. Like I said in a second ago, on Thursday, in case you guys did not hear, my wife had our second child, little baby Mia, came into the world. So that filled up my weekend. We did not have a Friday live show. We are here on Monday. Look forward in the future. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we will be live. We'll cover everything that's big in the crypto space. We got a lot of great conversations to have. So, I am enjoying a little rest. You will see me on YouTube. I'm taking some breaks with some other things, though, on the back end. I will say before we move forward, because there's going to be people who say, okay, can we see a picture of her? In case you guys did not know, the internet is a crazy and scary place. I think at this point, I'm probably done putting my family on the internet in a public way. It's just some crazy thing, especially my children. I watched that Tim Tebow and Sean Ryan interview. Did you see any of that, Shrum?
Yeah, it's not a good state of affairs, Tim.
It's not. And so recently I've kind of just said, you know what? I think I'm done putting my children on the internet. However, again, in safe places, I might post some things. So incentive for some of you maybe to join our Discord. I might in the next couple of weeks post a picture of at least maybe not a full face on picture, but I might post a picture of little baby Mia over there in the Discord. But on public internet, on YouTube, probably not going to happen again. Just where the world is. It's sad. It's sad that that's where we are, where you have to think about those things. Yeah. I mean, I remember as a child, we're going to get into crypto talk. I remember as a child, though, the things that I did, Shrum, I don't know about you as well. The places I went by myself, the fact that I had no thought in the world. My parents didn't care if I rode my bike 3 miles to the local park to go play pickup basketball with my friends. That was not a problem. That's the stuff we did. Right. Today, there's no chance in hell that I would allow Brody to ride a bike by himself 3 miles, even if he probably is in his teenage years. Like, I probably would have so many different security protocols with him. It's crazy where our world's gotten to. But you know what? God is still good, and we're going to keep going on, and that's where we are at the moment. If you guys are ready, go ahead and smash that like button. I'm going to bring Shrum back up here in just a couple of minutes. We had a lot of conversations to have. Let's start off, though, with just a good old overview of the markets. Let's take a look at what's going on in the charts. Bitcoin, even though altcoins really had the special run over the weekend, let's start off by just the Papa crypto of them all. What did Bitcoin do this weekend? Didn't quite get a brand new all-time high. We wicked all the way up to 122,321, at least on Coinbase we did. But that is a very good sign. You guys know, as early as last week, like around this time last week, a lot of concern, even from me, that a larger pullback could be coming. We lost 114,000. We fell all the way down to 112. Now, that was a level that we predicted would happen. Some of you remember there was a daily sell signal back here, and that's one of the reasons why we got bearish. And we said, hey, guys, look for 112 to be hit. But then out on the weekly chart, we started to get a sell signal on the weekly chart. What that means, if you go into Luxalgo, we had a red reversal, we had bearish divergence, we had a bearish momentum dot, more on that here in just a second, and we also had negative money flow. And this caused, for the first time since way back here, back in December, the first weekly sell signal we had in a while. But these sell signals, if you backtrack them, pretty lethal, pretty good. You don't want to ignore them. They might not happen. We told you guys there's a chance they don't play out, but you don't want to just say, oh, whatever, I don't care about weekly sell signals. They're not a big deal. They are a big deal. They can come with some pretty big pullbacks. In this case, Bitcoin could have had the ability to pull all the way back down to the lower 90,000 range. So in this case, it'd be like around 95,000. Last week it was closer towards 93. But the overall thought is, and we said this last week, we said it probably looks like we're coming back that far with a weekly sell signal. There's a chance we don't. Now, if you guys go back in here, we have to discuss, is this weekly sell signal all of a sudden canceled out and no longer viable? The reason I asked that is because despite the fact that, again, we're still under all the signals of the red reversal, the bearish divergence, we haven't put a new high in, we're starting to get this little green dot right in here. If this green dot solidifies itself, if it stays in place to the end of this week, meaning we have to come back next Monday, we have to look at how Sunday closes. If that green dot is still there on Monday, and if we start to see this money flow start to go back to the upside, we very well might be seeing a cancellation of the weekly sell signal and do not need to pull back down towards that $100,000 level. Right on lower time frames, we even looked at like 2 daily and 3 daily sell signals with maybe a bare minimum of pull back down towards 108,000. You can see here again, those green dots have solidified. So at least for the moment, I think there's a chance, and a pretty good chance, that we might see that this weekly sell signal is over, it's done, and we no longer in that category of looking for a pullback back below or to $100,000. Something, though, that we need to pay attention to, because you're going to hear this a lot on the internet. I've seen it a lot. I've seen a lot of people posting over the last, 12 hours or so. Don't trust Sunday pumps. Pullback is coming. One of the reasons why is because people like to take a look at CME gaps in Bitcoin. Let's go take a look at what happened here. So ultimately, if you go back here, you're going to have two different ways people are looking at this. And this is where people are going to say, we really should be pulling back down towards $116,000, $117,000. Why? Because of this gap. On Friday, you'll see that we closed the price action right here at 116,925. However, when we opened up last night at 8 p.m., we opened up all the way to 119,140. This is a big gap. You can see historically in the past, for example, a gap that we set back here in July on the 10th, we came up above, we came down, filled that gap, and then exploded to the upside. So a lot of people are sitting here saying, another gap is in play. Well, that means Bitcoin automatically has to fall to the downside. And I want to make sure I'm clear here. We absolutely could do this. We absolutely could see Bitcoin this week come down and close this gap and then continue to the upside. We also could see Bitcoin close this gap, solidify that weekly sell signal, and start to head down towards 100,000. And it turns out this whole rally was simply a fake out, right? At the moment, that's not where I'm leaning, but I want to make sure we're clear that can happen. But at the same time, I don't want people walking away from here saying, well, that's it. Tim said we absolutely now have a gap. We have to fall back. Even recent history would suggest you do not have to fall back to these gaps. Let's take a look at it. Even though the last major gap we had back in early July was filled, let's go back and look at history for a second, even more recently in the world of Bitcoin. Go back over here to May 7th. Bitcoin set a gap on the daily chart where it closed out around 96,720, opened the next day at 97,700, never came back and filled that gap. So technically speaking, you want to start marking gaps on the way here. Bitcoin has a gap at $97,000. Not just that, you go back to just like 2 weeks before that, back in the end of April, we have a gap all the way down to $91,000. So you got to extend that one out. Keep going back over here, and you look back into the past, we have gaps still down at 67. We have gaps at 60,000. We have gaps at 53. Heck, you want to go out to long-term history. We got gaps at 20,000, 11,000, 9,000, 8,000, 6,000. What's the overall point here? Gaps do not have to be filled. That's a very big understanding that people need to take away from the stream. You're going to hear a lot of people on the internet say, guys, we have a CME gap at 116,000, 117,000. That means this week we have to pull back and close it. And I'm just here to tell you, while I'm not saying we won't, I'm saying we do not have to. And in fact, I also wanted to specifically kind of show you a very similar place to where we were 4 and some change years ago. Let's go back over here to some of these gaps that happened back here. You can see during the early stages as Bitcoin was climbing at the end of 2020, several gaps were developed that never would be filled. Even one that ended up being filled, set back up here in December of 2020, we set a gap during the explosive portion of Bitcoin leading into altcoin season that would not be filled again. Remember, it started in December 2020. We would not fill that gap until all the way over here in June of 2022, a year and a half later, right? Instead, the bull market, after creating this major gap, convincing a lot of people that we probably needed to pull back, Bitcoin would go on to live for the next year and a half above that level and not get back down to those levels. Okay, even this one right in here, there's a gap right in here during an explosive move on Bitcoin back in July of 2021. Notice that gap gets created and does not get filled again, arguably until January. So months and months and months later, you need to understand that gaps, while they are often filled, they do not have to be filled. And when you look at the beginning of explosive movements, which is kind of what we were watching over the weekend, and we're looking more altcoins here later in the show, when you look at explosive moves, the times when gaps are not filled is as you are beginning a breakout with massive upside potential. So what happens this week is going to be very, very important. Can Bitcoin reclaim new all-time highs and begin explosive moves to the upside, or do we come back down, fill that gap, and does that gap end the pullback, or do we come back down to the downside? Still, a lot of things are possible, so stay locked into channels just like this. Make sure you're paying attention to what is going on. We will keep you posted on what is happening and how to handle it. Some of the charts that I want to take a look at here. It's always good to take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. Guess what it did this weekend after making a little bit of a flag pattern, a bear flag pattern. Bitcoin dominance did have a pullback and it broke below, breaking support level, giving us a potential major breakout for Bitcoin dominance to collapse below not just 60%, but potentially make moves all the way down closer towards 58% in the next couple of weeks. This is a major, major breakthrough for altcoin seasons if you believe in it. The other major thing is now we have officially, for the first time since 2021, we officially have 2 lower lows and a lower high. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a very good sign that altcoin season should be around the corner. I'm not here to declare that altcoin season is roaring and booming and in full fledged. I think we are seeing the early stages. We just had a baby here in the Warren household. There's those couple of hours before the baby comes that the baby is coming because of the birth pains that the mom is going through. The baby's not here yet. The altcoin season isn't here yet, but are we going through altcoin season birthing pains? I think that's what we're experiencing right now. And that's why we are seeing Bitcoin dominance collapse. This is like saying the doctor saying, I can see the head. I can see the head. The baby's not born yet. We're not writing down the time. The baby's alive yet, hasn't breathed its first breath, but we're saying, I see the head. It's very, very close. That's where we are right now in the world of Bitcoin. Speaking of the coin taking a lot of dominance away from Bitcoin, it's going to be this one right here, ETH. ETH over 4,300 here even today. You can see on the daily chart, no major pullback over this weekend. While a lot of coins have had some form of a pullback, ETH is bullish on the day. It's got a lot of bullish things heading for it. canceling out bearish moves here. There was worry on the daily chart about potential sell signals. There was even worry out in the weekly chart about potential sell signals. ETH said, never mind. Money flow is positive. Green dots are coming back. Ethereum continuing to steal dominance away from Bitcoin, which again, another major sign of altcoin season coming very, very soon. But forget for a second altcoin season. Let's talk about Ethereum all-time highs. ETH, of course, this weekend broke those double tops from back in February and November. We have broken up above here. We now have a new high for 2025. Can we get above the former all-time high set back in November of 2021? $4,800. We're looking to break that. Could it happen this week? Momentum at the moment is showing us that it's possible. Let's see if the pullbacks happen for CME gaps, or do we keep on going? Last thing I want to take a look at here before I let you guys, or before we get into some of the stories here, let's go take a look at how the stock market is performing. A little bit of a boring day here today. Nothing special happening. We're sitting up at all-time highs. No major pullback is on the way. Even here, we talked about last Wednesday, a potential sell signal coming in with red reversals and that bearish momentum dot. But here we go. Once again, that green dot coming in here to spoil the Bears parade. Bears thought they'd get a pullback. Even I thought maybe, hey, we're looking at a pullback in the stock market where we can buy some dips. At the moment, it is absolutely looking like we are a week away from seeing another big breakout. If that green dot confirms, we'll keep moving on to the upside. I think one thing that's very important to keep an eye on here is some people are going to stretch this and say, hey, we got some bearish divergence in play. The oscillators are moving to the downside. But I would sit here and compare the most pertinent dots to look at, the spaces to look at here would be, where was that former top before the big pullback back here in February? This peak right here back in February and our current peaks would actually show the RSI and the Luxago oscillator have put in not just price-wise higher highs, they've also put in oscillator higher highs. So anyone out there saying, guys, a stock market under massive weekly bearish divergence, not necessarily. That actually is showing me that we restarted. The bearish divergence played out all the way back here in March of 2024 to that February date and brought us the big pullback. We have now reset, and it looks like we got a lot of room to the upside left, even in the stock market. One of the biggest reasons why I still do not believe that we will see a bear market starting this year. I do not believe the top for crypto or the stock market or anything else is happening in 2025. I'm not even convinced necessarily for sure that the top will be in 2026, but I think we have a bull market that extends into 2026 one way or the other. Shrum, bring you in now. We're about to jump into some stories. How are you feeling about the markets overall right now? What are you looking at specifically, even in charts? What are some coins popping off to you right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm bullish, Tim. This is what we've waited for. I liked your analogy there. I know that giving birth is something on your mind, so you're kind of making that comparison. The way that I've been describing it is the door is open for altcoin season. Doesn't mean the bulls are going to run through, but the door is open. When Bitcoin dominance was going higher, the door was closed. But now that Bitcoin dominance is on the downtrend, that door is opening wider and wider and wider. Doesn't mean the bulls are gonna run through, right? We could see sideways or even a correction in Ethereum and Chainlink and SUI and Solana on down the line through early December. I would hate to see that, right? That would be pretty extreme, but we could see that. And then they decide to run through and we just see a crazy December. Who knows, right? But the way that I'm playing this market, the way that I'm investing is that I'm keeping my money in. Time in the market beats timing the market. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't try to time the market at all, but with the majority of my overall crypto and stock portfolio, I am staying invested during this period because I expect much more upside. But I am also doing swing trades and the occasional day trade there as well. But in our Discord community, there's all kinds of day trading going on, and I love to see the huge wins that some of our members are making with these leverage plays.
I was going to say, there's a lot of winning happening over in our VIP trading group, and the place that we're all trading. If you are in our VIP trading group, or if you're looking to jump into it, we're always over there trading on BloFin. Now, we're in the last couple of days here. It's probably too late to get in and sign up for this. There was an internal trading competition with a prize pool of up to $10,000 happening. These happen all the time in our trading community, so go check those out. But if you're looking to trade cryptocurrency, if you're looking to get into the game, and like Shrum said, whether you are a scalp trader, whether you're a day trader, swing trader, you can spot trade, you can leverage trade, you can learn how to trade, all those things happening in BloFin when you sign up with the link down below. And something we're going to start doing here, while we have a special chat for our VIP traders only, we talk through education, we talk through our trades. We even have channels in that VIP trading group where we put all of our trade setups in there. And again, that's where people are benefiting the most. We have several live trading sessions that happen every single day. And when you sign up with BloFin and deposit $100 into your BloFin account right now, create a ticket, join our Discord, submit it, you will be able to get access to the channels where we post links to our daily live trading sessions. Do not miss out. Again, if you want to learn how to trade, go sign up with BloFin. And guess what's even better? When you use our link, you get access to live trading sessions with the Tim Warren trading community. You do not want to miss out on that. Shrum, I want to get into some stories here and some things that you kind of even referenced and I referenced. We're bullish overall, but that doesn't mean it's time to just ignore all possibilities and ignore the chance of a pullback. And while the charts are kind of in that middle zone of saying this is really bullish and this is really bullish, but this could happen and change it back to being bearish, I think a big thing to keep an eye on this week is going to be taking a look at this website right here, Trading Economics. Tomorrow morning, core inflation will be coming out. And in case you guys are wondering, well, what's the thought process? What's going on? Let me take us off the screen for just a second. U.S. core inflation last time was 2.9%. The expectation at the moment is that tomorrow we will see a slight uptick and see 3% both in consensus and forecast. It's funny, they actually are predicting an inflation rate month over month to go down to 0.2% from last month's 0.3%. But year over year, that's the big number. That's the juicy number everyone likes to take a look at. At the moment, 3% is the thought process. Now, Shrum, what does this mean for people out there? If we see a 3% print tomorrow and inflation went up, is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing? How should people respond to that kind of print?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is something that the market is going to move on, right? In my opinion, it will not move very much if it just meets or comes under expectations, right? Because right now, Polymarket, the CME tool, the 3-month bond are all predicting far and away that we're going to see a cut. We're going to see the first leaf of fall come down in September. That's almost a certainty at this point as far as the prediction markets and the bond markets go. With that said, tomorrow, if we get a print, an inflation print that's like 3.5 or 4%, right? That could potentially put a big damper on the prospect of a cut in September. Now, still doesn't take that cut off the table, but if Polymarket is currently pricing in 76% likelihood of a cut in September, you might see that number come down to 70 or maybe 65, heck, maybe even 60, right? It depends how high that print comes in on inflation. But Tim, if the print comes in and it's sub 3, that is going to bring that 76% likelihood of a cut in September probably into the 80s, right? And I think actually this morning we might have seen it tick into the 80s. I'm very bullish, but this may be a time to take some chips off the table today before market close and just take some profits. If you're in some crazy profits or if you're in something that you were considering a swing trade, may not be a bad time to take some chips off the table to come back and buy on a rainy day when the markets are more pulled back. That's completely up to you, right? This is completely your journey. I make my decisions and I share them with our community in Discord, and occasionally I'll share them with you all here on YouTube. But I'm really watching closely to see how the Bureau of Labor Statistics dazzles the market with their illustrious and beautiful and highly accurate, highly valid data that's going to come out tomorrow. It is going to move markets, I believe, if we get something that prints above 3. If it's not above 3, it's going to be a nothing burger because the Fed won't care about it at all.
Yeah, I think mentioning the charts you were just talking about, I don't know what it's over on Polymarket, but CME is predicting, and last week had a 95% chance at one point of a rate cut in September. Right now it's at 86.4. Probably a lot of that pullback has come from like, okay, let's wait to see what that print tomorrow looks like. When it comes to inflation, I think Shrum's right on it, though. I think the concept here is ultimately 3%. We kind of bake that in. If it goes over 3%, it's not time to panic. But that's the scenario in which when we just talked about filling the CME gap to the downside, possibly even still applying that weekly sell signal. If things badly happen, it probably has a lot to do with inflation getting out of control and that rug being pulled out from underneath our feet again, where we are looking forward to a September rate cut, and all of a sudden, boom, it's not going to happen. That's going to be the question. I'll tell you this. If we get bad inflation numbers tomorrow and for some reason, we get a new Bureau of Labor Statistics technician who finds out, oh, wait, no, the employment market's really good. Unemployment's not out of control. Guess what, guys? The reason why we have such a high probability of a rate cut is because unemployment looks like it's a problem. If that's not a problem, but inflation is, guess what the Fed might actually even start considering? Forget just rate pauses.
Don't say it, Tim.
You don't want me to say it? Okay, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to, just kidding. I have to say what it is just for educational purposes. They might have to start raising rates. If inflation becomes a problem and unemployment is what Donald Trump says it is, that's actually a negative thing when it comes to rate cuts. We might actually get rate hikes. Do I think that's going to happen? Heck no. Do I think that tomorrow might actually end up being favorable? I actually think there's a pretty good chance that tomorrow ends up being favorable, whether it stays at 3%, whether it comes in at 2.9. But there are crazier things out there than if we wake up tomorrow morning at 8:30. I think this comes out at 8:30 and we see 2.8, 2.7. Inflation is not actually a problem. If that happens, watch the charts do that. Right? All those memes of those green candles just shooting up through ceilings, that might be what happens. If that happens, God candles might be on the chart here tomorrow. So stay vigilant, stay on top of it. Wake up a little early tomorrow. If you guys sleep in, wake up at least by 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Go check out some sort of website. Follow us on X. I'm sure Shrum and I will be at the computers making sure we get that information out to you ASAP. Follow us on X. Find out, is the inflation a good number, bad number? And that'll affect how you guys invest in the markets.
One more thought on that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
One more thought on that is there is 37 days until the rate cut decision, which is September 17th, right?
Yeah.
So there's no decision in August, by the way. A lot of folks, that's going to be news to you. They skipped the decision in August. September 17th, 37 days away. Even if we get a super favorable print, let's say it's 2.7, right? Something real great. Even if that happens, we'll probably see some upside tomorrow, that day, and maybe even through the rest of the week. But 37 days without a bearish narrative, without a bearish headline coming out, that's not going to happen, right? So that you have to understand it's not just going to be straight up through September 17th. There will be a lot of people taking stables and fiat off the sidelines because they are waiting for more certainty of a cut. But there will more than likely be some volatility before we get to that decision, and some of that's going to be to the downside. But I'll be buying, right? That's why I take chips off the table to put them back in lower.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. Good clarification there. Let's move into maybe the main story of the day. A lot of you people probably clicked on the video. I saw someone asking in chat, is this live? Are we live? Guys, we are live right now. Again, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we're going to be live once again at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So put it on your calendar. Put it on your YouTube page. I don't know how you guys do. Make sure share it around and comment at 3 p.m. Every video, by the way, from here on out, we just decided to go back to it. We were posting videos at noon. We just decided, you know what? The community needs to have a consistent time for YouTube videos coming out. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 p.m. Put an alarm on your Apple Watch, on your cell phone. We got a Tim Warren video coming out. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's live. Tuesday, Thursdays, it's going to be a pre-record. And then Saturdays, we will start putting out videos on Saturdays once again. If you're excited about that, smash the like button right now and make sure you're subscribed. Let's get into conversations about Chainlink. Now, Chainlink had an amazing weekend this weekend. We had a great price rally. We're still sitting at below weekly targets we talked about weeks ago. I mean, we're talking about predictions we made back in June about Chainlink hitting at least $24 and potentially making a move to 27 or 31. We still haven't even hit that weekly smart trail just yet. We still had that buy signal under effect on the weekly chart. Chainlink shot up. If you go to a daily chart here, in the last couple of days last week, I think starting back on Thursday, it shot from $16.32 all the way up here over $22. And I don't think Chainlink is done whatsoever. One of the biggest reasons why is because of some news that is coming out. Of course, last week we heard about the treasury that they're building, the reserve that Chainlink is building. But more breaking news coming out even today. Chainlink has partnered with the New York Stock Exchange parent ICE to bring Forex and precious metal data on chain. Now, I want to pause here for a second. I'm going to get Shrum's take after we read all the news here in a second about Chainlink. But something to be aware of. This is a massive, massive ordeal as we go into a world where the TradFi community, the stock market community, wakes up and embraces blockchain, we're going to embrace the concept of moving the stock trading world into cryptocurrency. There's going to be people out there debating which coin benefits the most from this. I think there's an XRP army out there saying XRP is going to be the one who benefits the most from it. And I think XRP is going to do well. This is not an anti-XRP claim I'm about to make. I'm going to, though, put my feet in the dirt and stand tall and tell you there is no coin out there right now that will benefit more in the next year from the embracing of institutions coming into cryptocurrency and tokenizing their assets than Chainlink. It's going to be involved in every single happening that goes out there. It's going to be major. And I'm not the only person who believes this. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this was the news. I forgot I put in the wrong order. Chainlink Reserve built. This is awesome. There's another one put out here by Jeremy Fielder talking about him raising his Chainlink price prediction. Now, you guys know I have been talking about, at one point I mentioned, is $700 possible? Well, in a crazy world where Chainlink became like the third strongest cryptocurrency, that was possible. I've since then scaled back. A lot of you guys will know. I think the floor for Chainlink is around $150 for this bull market. I think it's not crazy at all to call for $300, but people think even my $150 prediction is nuts. Well, Jeremy Fielder's coming out saying he's raising his link prediction all the way up to $200 in a cycle. He goes on to explain the why behind it is that Chainlink is reducing their circulating supply of link every single week. You know what that means, guys? As supply drops and demand goes up, the laws of economics say the price has to increase. These are buybacks, which companies do regularly to increase the scarcity and raise the price to protect investors. Remember, there's a hard cap of 1 billion link tokens in share. This boosts the scarcity at a time when demand for blockchain infrastructure is skyrocketing, and the ultimate supply of link is capped. If you get it, you get it, he says. Here's a chart. He talks about Fibonacci levels moving up there. So he's raising his prediction to 200. I'm standing firm myself, saying, I've been telling you guys, link over $100, pushing closer to $300. That's where we've been now for quite some time. I think I'm going to start hearing less and less people calling me crazy about my Chainlink predictions, Shrum. But what about you? What do you think? Do you still think I'm crazy? Have you changed your mind on me? Where do you see Link potentially getting, and what's the significance of the news coming out here?
Yeah, no, I think the 200 is definitely in the cards. I think people who have emotional opinions on price predictions don't understand basic tokenomics. When Tim makes a price prediction, we're not just saying, let's find some charts patterns and some shapes. Let's throw some pig intestines on the charts. And it's all just basic math. It's total supply and price, float, all that just put into an equation and you get an outcome. So is there subjectivity in it at all? Yeah, there's a little bit of subjectivity because if you're looking at the overall dominance of the coin, relative to other coins' dominance in past cycles. But overall, $200 per coin for Chainlink, I think, is in the cards. And if you don't believe that, that's okay, right? This is a market. There's going to be people who are buying Chainlink and people who are selling Chainlink. I like it. I'm going to buy it. Are there going to be people who make more money than me buying a different coin? Yeah, but that's fine, right? You can have your own opinions. Your opinions may not come out to be true. They might come out to be true, but we'll see. I think 200 is definitely in the cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so you guys know, what does that mean for what we could see with Chainlink? Let me go to CoinMarketCap here really quickly. I want to show you what we're looking at here. Let's go full screen just so you guys can appreciate all of this. Chainlink right now is the number 12 coin on CoinMarketCap, right? The price is $21.57, a market cap of $14.6 billion. I believe that this coin will climb and break a lot of things. I think it's definitely going to break above Hyperliquid. I'm not going to be surprised to see Chainlink above Cardano, above Tron, above Dogecoin. I have some thoughts on Dogecoin that I'm going to save for another day. I don't think Dogecoin is going to break and die and bleed. I think Dogecoin might not be the coin, though, that people make a lot of money on, but I'm going to save that conversation for another day. Just wanted to tease you guys. I think that it's very reasonable to see Chainlink in this number 7 or potentially rivaling for that number 6 spot. People are going to have a lot of problems with me when I say that. Watch stable coins drop a little bit. Even Tether might drop out of the top 5, 6. That could be it. Maybe it doesn't surpass Solana, But I won't be surprised if Link is actually pretty stinking close to Solana's market cap by the time this bull market is said and done. Let's take a look at a tool just so you can appreciate what we would need Chainlink to be at a $200 prediction for a price action for Link. We're looking at the world, and it's hard because we could really come in here and say with this new rule coming out of this new treasury buy-up that Chainlink is doing, this supply might actually be lower, not higher. But in a nutshell, all we would need for a $200 Chainlink prediction is $135 billion in market cap. Now, yes, is that a little bit less than a 10x in price action here? Yes, it is. But that's not crazy unreasonable. I still think that a $300 prediction is probably still something to be aware of and be prepared for. Should you hold all of your Chainlink until $300? Maybe not. Maybe you should take some profit before then. But that would be only a $203 billion market cap. I still think, again, not that I'm predicting this, I still think there's a world in which Chainlink in the next year, maybe a little bit year and some change, end of 2026, early 2027, if the bull market extends, I wouldn't be surprised to still see a $500 billion market cap. And that's where the $700 price still comes in. Is it going to happen? No, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not promising you it's going to happen. But is it possible? Is there a world out there in which Chainlink explodes and goes berserk? Yes, that world does exist. And if it does, I just want to make sure you're clear here. If we reach $500 billion, that's where $700 is coming in. But the good news is I wouldn't wait for $700. I would look at that $200 and $300 price levels and be taking some profit on Chainlink, because you'll have a lot of money in your bank if you have been buying Chainlink, as we've been telling you to here on this channel. Of course, never giving financial advice. You guys continue to do your own research. But people are starting to wake up and say, maybe that Tim Warren guy wasn't as crazy as we thought for all those years, talking about major moves coming to Chainlink. I'm starting to get justified in my early calls. Again, 2 years now, I've been riding the Chainlink bandwagon. I think it's about to pay off in a major, major way. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about Chainlink? Let's keep going on here, though, because Chainlink isn't the only coin that is getting a lot of attention here. Uniswap is also having some big moves. They had a tweet just coming out here. I'm going to let Shrum break it down, but ultimately, the Uniswap Foundation proposes integrating into Wyoming's Duna framework to unlock free switch for investors if passed. Shrum, why don't you break this down for users? We talked about Uni a couple weeks ago, one of the only 5 altcoins mentioned in the digital assets report by the federal government. We already said that was a major win for it. What do people do with this information? What is this Duna framework? What does this unlock of fees look like for the Una holders right now? Or Uni holders right now?
Yeah. So as a Uni holder, it is bullish. This is bullish news. Now it's completely contingent, right? This isn't a headline saying that this has happened, but this is contingent on the foundation's proposal being approved by the governance structure. Okay, so that's something to make completely clear. Easily, the governance structure could vote to reject this proposal. Okay, what is the Duna, the Wyoming's Duna? It's essentially a system to create decentralized organizations or DAOs and to bring them down to the actual earth and integrate with the United States legal system by way of the state of Wyoming. Okay. You don't need to understand all of that to understand what I'm about to say, which is there is a fee switch. There's a fee switch that essentially switches a coin from a governance coin to a utility coin. And when it does that, the utility coin is more favorable to hold as an investor. Now, there's some asterisks there. Of course, there might be some folks who want to argue at that point. But in general, there's more upside if a coin is a utility coin. Okay. Again, lots of argumentation can happen with that. Yeah. But that's generally the truth here. This proposal is a pathway towards the Uniswap coin becoming a utility coin. Aave did it. There's been other coins that have done something similar to this. The reasons why Uniswap has not had that fee switch yet and gone into a utility coin are legal ones. There are ones where they are still concerned with how they would be handled by the Securities and Exchange Commission and U.S. regulators. Okay, so them coming into a union with the state of Wyoming, they believe could potentially open that door to becoming a utility coin and go away from being a governance coin only. So that is bullish. I am holding Uni, and the market is rewarding Uni, I believe, as much as 6% to the upside today. Yeah. But I believe it's held on at at least to, let's see, it's at 3% up today. Well, a lot of other altcoins are red. So yeah.
Listen, the future of DeFi, also decentralized finance is what the name is. For anyone who's new here, maybe you're coming from the TradFi world, welcome. We talk crypto. We talk little stocks here, but mostly crypto. Decentralized finance, that is the future. Even institutions, this is what's so crazy. 4 years ago, this was a thing that like was debated by retail investors all the time. How decentralized is a project? The more decentralized, the better it will do. Well, as institutions come in, decentralization is not as big of a deal. But DeFi, decentralized finance, even institutions, governments, large entities, they're looking and saying, man, this DeFi protocol stuff, this is pretty cool. And there's no better DeFi DEX out there than Uniswap. And the fact, again, the fact that it was mentioned in a governmental report talking about the future of blockchain integration into economics, and they mentioned Uniswap and the benefits of DeFi protocols. So bullish. So bullish. I forgot to mention this when I was looking at the charts with Chainlink. I want to show you Chainlink's chart as well, but something that Uniswap is doing here as well. Altcoins are doing well. I don't want to say that all altcoins are not doing well, but Uniswap and Chainlink, and I know of definitely one other coin I'm going to save for tomorrow. I want to tease you guys. There will be a video coming out tomorrow on a coin that I think that you should buy because it still has 20 to potentially up to 40x potential left in it. That coin is doing very well. Some of you might know what it is, but I'm gonna tease you. Come back tomorrow, subscribe to the channel. That video will be coming out tomorrow at 3 p.m. You can see here that Uniswap over the weekend, or especially today, late last night or early this morning, broke to new local highs, a higher high than the July highs. Same thing for Chainlink over here. Chainlink breaking the July highs that were originally at $20.34, putting in higher highs. Why is that important? Because when you take a look at it, so by the way, Ethereum did the same thing as well. But you take a look at other coins, XRP, love XRP. But XRP did not make it back up to the July highs. Neither did Solana. Neither did Ondo. Neither did Cardano or Sui. Other coins that I love these coins and have massive bullish potential left in them. There were certain coins that benefited heavily this weekend. Chainlink and Uniswap are definitely two of those coins. What are we looking at over here? Well, if you come over and look at the weekly chart, this is another coin just like Chainlink. It has not fully reached the potential of the buy signal that came in here weeks and weeks and weeks ago back in April. We told you Uniswap could be making its way up to $12.65, if not all the way up closer towards $15. We still got some room left in there. The question then becomes, do we potentially go even higher than that? Looking at liquidations coming to a lower screen. Let's take a look here because I think we're still going to have some interesting ones. Yeah, big pocket up here at $12, $14, and $15.40. These are all things that I think we can continue to chase some sort of a squeeze and get up and liquidate all these shorts that have been in effect since all the way back in January of this year. By the way, Chainlink, because I didn't come back and do more in-depth Chainlink TA, big pocket of liquidations, big pocket of shorts and bears that would be crushed if the price comes back up here towards $30. Do not be surprised. Again, if tomorrow is bullish, if tomorrow's inflation print is good, if this momentum continues, there's a lot of room to the upside with some big targets to watch that would crush bears. By the way, I hope you guys aren't looking at this and thinking Tim's saying, oh, we'll make it to Chainlink's $30 and then reject, or we'll make it to Uniswap up here around $15 and reject. No, these liquidations, if we can break through them, we might see a small pullback. We might see a small sell-off and come back down by that dip, because what this will ultimately do is get rid of a lot of stubborn and sturdy bears that have been suppressing price the entire year of 2025. We get rid of them, the floodgates open, and altcoin season goes berserk. Those are targets to watch right now when it comes to Uniswap. Let's keep going on though with the show here. Again, smash that like button if you guys are watching and you're enjoying what you're hearing about. We're going to have a little bit of time for some Q&A because we have one more story we want to get into before that, but make sure you're dropping in chat. What are your questions? What are your thoughts? What are your concerns you want Shrum and I to discuss to wrap up the show today? But big question for you, Shrum. You brought this article to my attention over the weekend, and I'll be honest with you. This topic is something that I think has been a problem for a long time. I agree with the sentiment that I'm about to say here, but I want to get your opinion. I want to get chat's opinion here. Is college one of the biggest scams of the American economy? All right. You get told growing up, you got to go get a college education. You're not going to accomplish anything without a college education. I just want you guys to know, I don't have a bachelor's degree. I got an AA at a community college in Gainesville, Florida. Did not finish my degree, and I think I'm doing just fine. Shrum, did you get a bachelor's degree?
I did.
You
from
did.
The same
So you're
college.
smarter than me. That's clear. Yeah. All right. Well, here's the thing. I know a lot of people with college degrees who are working at some sort of fast food restaurant or a clerk. They're making sandwiches at a Subway. Like, there is a lot of things happening. And a recent report came out here. There's an article written in Fortune that Gen Z men with a college degrees, now they have the same unemployment rate as non-grads, a sign that the higher education payoff is dead. Is college a scam? That's one of the main claims of Charlie Kirk. He goes to college campuses and tells people they're being scammed out. It's funny. The people argue with him. Other people, it's like you can see the light coming into their eyes and like, oh my gosh, I'm paying thousands of dollars to not even be guaranteed work. And then there's other things. I'll tell one more story and then we'll get your opinion. I had a good friend. I had a very good friend. And I loved her heart to serve children. I loved her heart to be a teacher. We need good teachers in America. We need children to be educated. However, riddle me this, Shrum. Why in the world are there even programs out there to teach and grow teachers that cost upwards of $100,000 of debt? And then they're going to pay her somewhere around $45,000 a year salary. Explain the logic to me of charging $100,000 for a job that will never pay much more than 50 grand. It makes no sense to me. Biggest scam in the world. What is your thoughts? I mean, I've told you mine. College is a scam. What do you think about college overall?
Yeah, I think it is increasingly becoming more and more a scam. I think as it stands today, it is a scam for a lot of the people that are getting involved. Now, going to an institution, sitting in a chair and listening to a professor talk about things, that part is not the scam, right? In fact, a lot of people can gain a lot of knowledge, and that is a good use of time generally. But if you're taking out debt, or if you're really using your own money to pay for degrees that are not law, engineering, or some kind of medicine, there's a very strong case to be made that you are making a non-viable economic decision. Now, if you just want to pay that money to go listen to some professors say things that you aren't going to hear in other places because they are knowledgeable people, that, you're not doing it to make money in the future, to gain employment. People spend money on Netflix, you can spend money on whatever you want. But if you're expecting to get a psychology degree or a art studies degree and you don't have the connections, you are wasting money, right?
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, if you have those connections and you just go show drive, you go show hustle, and if you're willing to work for free for a couple of months, a lot of people are just going to say, I kind of don't care that he doesn't have a degree. Let's get him in here. If he's willing to work for free, right? Or if he's willing to work really hard for minimum wage.
Yeah.
That's something that I would value much more, right? Now, when it comes to the question of doctors and lawyers, engineers, there's a very strong argument to be made that you should still be heavily vetted by a trusted institution such as the University of Florida, Virginia Tech, Caltech,
the best schools right in the world is what you're mentioning. Yeah,
that's right. Mainly Florida, mainly the University of Florida.
Okay.
But yeah, I think overall college is becoming increasingly very scam-like. Now, Crux disagrees with us. He says it's a tool, and just like anything else, it can be used for your benefit. I tend to agree that there is some truth to that. But Tim, just to put into comparison as well, this Fortune article says in comparison around 2010, non-college educated men experienced unemployment rates over 15%. So didn't go to college, 15% unemployment, whereas the rate among college graduates was closer to 7%. Fast forward to today, okay? That was 2010. Fast forward to today, the unemployment rate is 5.5% for both of those groups of men, those who have gone to college and those who haven't, between the ages of 22 to 27, okay? So the university system in the United States gets an F, right? It is failing these young people if the purpose of a college is to employ folks, which, it serves a lot of different purposes to different people. But ultimately, if you're not getting someone ahead in the economy by providing them education in exchange for money, what is the purpose of a college?
I want to get in here and interject into some things because I don't think Crux is necessarily wrong. It is a tool. And as we said, there are certain jobs. Like if you want to be a doctor, I think that's a very honorable call to say, I want to go save lives. Yeah, I want to know the guy doing surgery on me has gone through some pretty rigorous training and education, to make sure he knows what he's doing. Let's be honest, though. Do we think every single doctor walking out of every single med school is actually someone who's in a good space to do the work? No. At the end of the day, natural intelligence still plays a part. The reality is, though, it's this concept again. If they were charging like a couple $1,000s to get basic education to make sure you're a viable in society, okay, that's fine. The concept of charging hundreds of thousands of dollars for degrees like gender studies, hundreds of thousands of dollars for degrees that they know full well, like my friend who's a teacher, they know that position will never pay anywhere close enough money to stay up to date with your loans. It is a scam. And the scam is, I love what Bedridden just put in chat because this is 100% my opinion on it. He said it's designed to make you an obedient person with $100,000 of debt slap. You know what that means? We outlawed slavery in America 150 some odd years ago. It's more than that, but I'm doing some rough math. Yes, we outdated slavery. Was that a great thing? Absolutely. Do you know what has happened in this country ever since? Evil knows no boundaries when it comes to shades, colors, cultures, or anything else. We will always have evil people in this world who find a way to take advantage of lessers. People that have good character, good spirits, people with bad character will take advantage of them. This is 100% a scam for the reason of it is modern day slavery still inside the United States. Why? And why is it such a big deal we're even talking about this on this channel? Because the ultimate thought process is if you educate yourself, if you learn to think for yourself, if you understand how money actually works, you will ruin the plans of the elite. You will ruin the plans of the evil organizations that control this planet. They do not want intelligent people to run this world. They do not want people who understand how money works to be out in the world and living successful lives. The best thing they can do in the world is create zombies in a classroom that are trapped by debt. And when you're trapped by debt, you got to play the game their way. They can control what they teach you and what they don't teach you. I mean, honestly, Ian, unless you take finance classes, which some people even take finance classes don't learn this, how many Americans don't understand tax laws in the United States? How many Americans don't understand the benefits of investing? How many Americans have never sat down and done the math on the brutalization of money and inflation? They are not taught this in college. They are taught what the powers that be want them to understand so that they can create zombies or slaves. Right. I'm going to get a little bit away from here. There's a lot of conversation, about does the Bible support slavery or not? And what's crazy is a lot of times when you get in there, especially like in the New Testament, in the New Testament, Paul writes about slavery. The word there, if you actually went back to the culture, is more commonly associated with servant, meaning people who were poor, in debt. They were indentured servants working for people to get themselves out of debt, to pay their bills, and to hopefully go start their own process. They weren't owned individuals. They weren't slaves the way, America's seen slavery and Europe's seen slavery and stuff like that, where it's brutal dehumanization. It was indentured servitude. But you want to know what's crazy is people don't even realize they want to fuss about that, but they don't even realize there's indentured servitude and slavery in the United States right now. It's called being an employee. And a lot of people, even in this chat, are servants and slaves right now in America. And one of the greatest ways to get out of that bend is to watch channels like this, to watch open-ended conversations. We are not being controlled by anyone out there. We get to say whatever we want to say and teach people about the value of money and what money means. Bitcoin is a solution to modern day slavery when it comes to the college education, when it comes to employment, or again, we like to use the good word employee, employer. It really is master and servant, modern day America. You are stuck with debt. You are stuck in life. You don't have time to go out and research and learn how money actually operates. And then, what's even crazier? Until Bitcoin, you go out and learn how money operates. You just get depressed, which means you go out and probably grab a bottle or something worse to numb the pain because there was no solution. Jesus is the main solution. Jesus is the end all be all. But when it comes to finances, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a solution to modern day slavery that we have been waiting for. And college is going to continue to brainwash and keep young people away from learning for themselves. And if you watch it right now, you're watching Gen Z start to rebel against this modern ideology. You're seeing college education be treated more like a joke. I saw someone earlier say it's more of a networking process. It is. That's what college is at this point. It's a networking process. There's ways to network without that. There's ways to make money without college. And young people are waking up and they're realizing that. And that's why young people are embracing cryptocurrency as a whole. I think the world is in a much better place in the next 15 to 20 years because of crypto, because people are waking up, than it is what we've seen for the last, 50, 40 years of people are just indoctrinated with college education. I think the last thing I was going to say, we're going to wrap this up. We'll answer a couple questions here. Another thing that I thought was very interesting was I was talking with a CEO who he was friends with a bunch of other CEOs in Tampa. And he was telling me, he's like, Tim, it's actually interesting. We actually prefer hiring people that did not go to college. And the reason why is because not only are college kids coming out not at all smarter than kids that are not going to college, it also brings this entitlement. People get this higher education, have this entitlement and this thought process that they should work very little, be paid a lot, and not make any type of actual benefits to the company. He said, I like the kids that didn't go to college, that have work ethics, who realize they got to start from the bottom and work their way up. They understand they might not have the highest paycheck at the end of their first week, but if they work hard and they work tirelessly, they not only can get a bigger paycheck, they can build themselves and they can go on and do bigger and better things. So I also think it's funny. Again, I'll wrap that whole thing up. College is a scam. CEOs are waking up and saying, you know what? I actually prefer the kids that are not educated. Let the hard workers come work for me. That's better for my business anyway. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? But I'm firm on my opinion. I think college is a scam. If my kids want to go to college, that's completely fine, but they will be educated on how to actually live life and how college is not necessarily the answer there. Let's get some questions here in chat and we will wrap up the show here.
I see one here from Bedridden. What's up, Bedridden? Hope you're doing well. He said, I know a guy with a master's degree, interesting word there, master's degree, top 10 student in all of all of Norway. Nobody wants to hire him because nobody can handle him. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
College is a relic of the past, folks. We haven't even talked about AI and its role in all of this. If you want to learn how to be an excellent chef, right? You can learn that on using AI. You can literally take pictures of what you have in your fridge and it'll tell you what you can make. Now, if you want to work at a 5-star Michelin restaurant in Paris, right, you might need a little more formal learning. But to get you from A to X, you can really get there with AI. To get from A to Z, you might need some more formal learning. You seen any interesting, thought-provoking comments or questions there in the chat, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I saw people here. Mikhail said trade and sales is the way to go as a young man in 2025. Yeah, I mean, my younger brother Caleb, I've talked about him on the show here before, has a 4-year degree, played college football for the University of Rhode Island, a very good school. He was making, I think he just left his job. He's trying to start his own business. He was just making $20-something thousand a month. I mean, he wasn't a seller; he was sales commission. He was on track to be making over $200,000 a year. The job he had, yes, does he have a degree? Yes, has zero need of a college degree whatsoever, right? The amount of money you can make, again, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, there's certain things, yes, you have to go through some studies, you have to go to college, get certifications, I get it. But the vast majority of individuals can make as much, if not more money by just going straight into the workforce than going to school. Again, the job that my brother had, he said he actually regrets as much as he liked playing football. He says he wishes at 18 he would have taken that sales job as an 18-year-old instead of going to 5 years of school to play football and get an education. He said he would be a millionaire by now. He'd probably be a multi-millionaire by now if he had just done the same exact thing at 18 years old instead of waiting to be 23, 24 years old and started off. Again, I think there's people in here that like college education. Listen, if you want to educate yourself, that is okay. If you want to pay money, more than likely to the government, I know there's private educations, but somehow that money finds its way back into the government's hands. If you want to pay money to go sit in class and get a piece of paper at the end of the day, my hat's off to you. You know, I love college football. Those kids all have to go to college and get an education. Okay, I like college because it provides college football. But if you want to make money in the world, there are ways to make money. And I am living proof. No bachelor degree right here. No bachelor degree whatsoever. I'm living proof. If you are a hard worker, you can be intelligent and not have a college degree and make as much, if not more money than college graduates. And again, the argument would be, now that I've talked to CEOs, there's actually a way in which you can make more money as not being a college graduate than being a college graduate in the first place. But we'll keep going on. It is 4:00, so we'll do one more question, and then we will move on.
Yeah. I will say from my personal experience of being, look for a juicy comment there, Tim, to round it out. My experience being in college is it was a great place to network. And, people talk about the college experience. It was an exceptional experience in a lot of ways. I was able to deliver pizza during the nights and make pretty decent money. So it wasn't a complete waste of time. And I don't feel that I was brainwashed in some sense, but I was an outlier. There were a lot of people in my classes that were just taking hook, line, and sinker the political rhetoric that was coming from the professors, who in the United States at least are, I believe the last statistics I read, for every one registered Republican professor in the university system, there is 9 registered Democrats, right? So say what you will about either party. We're not really here to talk politics, but when you have an imbalance political diversity in any institution, you're going to have unbalanced outcomes, right? So I think that my experience was one where there was clearly a political bias in the university institution, and I know I'm not breaking news to anybody by saying that, but overall there were some good things about college. But would I have rather my parents spent money and just bought S&P 500, right? And then I would just have what that would have earned by now? Absolutely. That would be so much more valuable to me. I could have learned everything I learned from the college I went to and the business program that I was enrolled in just from the right books. Honestly, if I just read probably a handful of books, I probably could have learned every single thing that I learned in college.
Yeah. We're going to wrap up the show here in a second. There was a comment. People are asking about the charts. So things are pulling back here. We did start the whole show off talking about that gap that was happening here. Let me kind of end here with a little bit of TA on a couple different coins here. But what I'm ultimately looking at is sell signals coming in on the 4-hour chart that are kind of confirming here, with targets down here closer towards 117.5 to maybe as low as 116. You'll remember we talked about the gap technically coming in here around 116.945. So what you're going to notice here is, even in this pullback, if Bitcoin were to pull back down here towards 117, if ETH were to pull back down here, which ETH really isn't under a sell signal here, it kind of is. ETH could pull back here down towards 4,000. XRP, I saw some people ask about XRP. XRP is going to have a 4-hour smart trail down here in the range of 297. So could go sub $3 here again. All of this would be a pullback filling up a gap. And then again, tomorrow morning will be the announcement on the inflation data. If we have bad data, crashes could continue. If we have good data, though, this could be right now we're watching the bear trap happening, where a sell-off comes back down, a CME gap is closed, good news comes out in the morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the markets take off to new heights once again. That is something we'll be monitoring here on this channel. If you want to stay up to date with that information, make sure right now to go check out my X account. If you guys want to see what that is, let me show you that here in just a second. It is going to be Tim Warren Trades, at Tim Warren Trades. Make sure you're following this account, where we will keep you up to date live with all of the big news that affects your portfolio. With that said, guys, it has been a fantastic day here with you on this Monday live show. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. We'll see you on Wednesday. Adios.